وشفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين ولا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارا.
Now, before you click off the video and you say, Yani, Sultan is crazy, what is he? Just give me a chance. Okay, let's get into the video. So when we think of the journey of the modern man, we had Islam as the base of what it means to grow and be disciplined and develop as a man. And of course, we had the Sahaba who embodied this and the generations after that. But through time, it became more and more diluted by kafir thought until the age of enlightenment, where the philosophers came to quote-unquote save us from worshipping God, na'udhu billah, so that we could then worship ourselves. And what happened with the age of enlightenment to men specifically is that and even the world, it created something called a dopamine nation, where the whole world was just stuck worshipping our nafs. And that means what is going to give us pleasure. And even on a spiritual level, we know that that's useless, right? When you feed the nafs, it's never going to make you happy. But even biologically, with the way our dopaminergic systems are created, it also doesn't bring you happiness and pleasure forever. So this constant aim of serving pleasure not only made us as men depressed in society, but it also led to weak men who didn't want discipline anymore, because the only thing that mattered is serving the idol of the self, according to the philosophers, which influenced societal thought. And so we have this young man who's weak, who doesn't have a father figure, and so he sees the world around him. He doesn't feel okay to be weak, and so what happens is he sees what he thinks is an answer with the overcorrection of red pill self-improvement. And so at first we were on this journey as well. We thought that self-improvement was a truth of some sorts, or the correct way, because we felt some inclination to the strength and discipline of masculinity. And so we followed these people deeper and deeper, listening to these false prophet influencers telling us and obeying them and doing whatever they want. But then we realized that as Muslims, something was off. Like, why is it haram, and why is zina praiseworthy, and why is haram relations praiseworthy? Where is the deen, where's the sharia? We need that, we need iman, because it was filled with kufr. Like, there's no need to have tawheed inside self-improvement. Islamic self-improvement came to fix the errors of having haram, fix the errors of having kufr, and putting in deen habits and success in deen as a pillar of improving it, because it's important. We needed iman. However, externally righteous Islamic self-improvement is still rotten at the core, because it came as an adaptation from a kafir concept. It did not come from Islam, which did khair by the external, but the internal is still the problem. And the center is still the self, it's still the nafs, it's still me. It's not Allah, it's not serving Allah. And that is the issue. And so in today's video, we're going to be dissecting and exploring this video essay, the reason why both these systems, self-improvement and Islamic self-improvement, are flawed, and what the solution to this desire to develop is, being Islamic self-development, rooted in tazkiyah nafs and Rujula al-wasatiyah, Rujula of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how this serves our purpose as Muslims better than these flawed ideologies, and even self-improvement just being a filthy ideology at the end of the day. And so this is the final piece of the puzzle. This is what we've been searching for. When you're in Islamic self-improvement that something's off, something's missing, and that is what we're going to be doing and dissecting and explaining the solution to in this video. So before I start the video, I just want to say, everything you've heard from your false prophet influencers, I need you to take that from your brain, put it aside, inshallah, and approach this video from the Quran and Sunnah. If you can do that for me, have an open mind, because I remember when most of the people who should be watching this already clicked off. When I tried to see a brother, I think his name is Farhan or something like that, a da'wah YouTuber, he made this video with a similar title. I couldn't even click on it. That's how much the waswas was hitting me. I couldn't even click on the video. I couldn't accept that self-improvement is garbage, because no, the Muslims don't get it. I know, don't worry. And I promise you, the answer to the question you think is probably not the answer you think it's gonna be. It's very different. Just before that, I just want to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For those who don't know me, my name is Sultan. I make videos for brothers to help them develop themselves to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And if you could subscribe, that'll be really appreciative to make the video just go out to so many people to impact them, bi'idhnillah. And also, if you're interested, I have lots of products that are helped with the more advanced things and more bigger tools and content to help you develop yourself to please Allah Azza wa Jal. Check the links in the description to check it out. Really beneficial. I really hope you guys benefit from that. And yeah, let's get into the video. Self-improvement is inherently useless to Muslim men. The reason is because self-improvement as a concept is vain internally, because it's filled with ego worship, worship of the self, the nafs, right? And idol worship based on objective worldly success. You're serving an object of worldly success. And so self-worship is prevalent in self-improvement because it's proven by the religion. The base proportion of the message is based on red pill self-improvement by the mainstream outlets. And so self-improvement, connotatively, self-improvement is a mechanism to increase your SMV, sexual market value, through the acquisition of physical, financial, and social success. So becoming confident and good with girls, becoming super aesthetic in the gym, getting super rich so that girls like you. And the ultimate aim is to have more sex with more girls. And so these gurus teach this idea that we have to compete against other men to be stronger men. And so we can get more stronger and physically greater so we can get more girls. That's the connotative understanding. I.e., stop being a blue pill loser on your phone and start having more sex with girls and make lots of money. Even the wholesome self-improvement, the self-improvement that is more like, let's brand it as personal development. This is more general, less mainstream self-improvement that's pushed to men. It's not based on the red pill. It's things like, good things that you would say, Sultan, it's a good nice thing, materialism is destroyed. This idea of minimalism, even philosophy, not to praise philosophy, but it's better than the filth that men are being spewed before. Things like stoicism of emotional control, things like abstinence of this worldly life, things like the fact that, remember death, memento mori, and even just like, getting financial freedom so you can provide for your family and not have to be stuck in a job that you hate, or things like being more healthy and strong and dieting, and things like gaining more knowledge by reading. Reading is good, and not scrolling social media and doing bad habits. Even the wholesome content, even that is useless long term. Right? Because as Muslims, we know that dunya is temporary. Whether your success is from this vain, filthy self-improvement or the wholesome personal development, general personal development, it is still useless in the long term for the Muslim because it doesn't serve your akhirah. As much as it can bring benefit in the dunya, great, that's nice, but your actions don't have a high ROI. Because as a Muslim, you're looking for the highest return on investment for your action because our time is limited. And Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't tell us to come and have a party in the dunya and just focus on building thousands and thousands of castles. No. He says portion, but the ultimate goal we should strive for in the Muslim is the return on investment for the akhirah. Every action we take should reap rewards then. And it's even vain based on its definition. If you look at the definition of self-improvement, it means the improvement of one's knowledge, status, or character by one's own efforts. What we can extract from this definition is that it's the purpose of personal gain. All it's about is me reaping the rewards for me, right? It's about me through personal action. And so what we get is a very evil positive reinforcement of ego worship, of basically increased self-perception or self-amazement, ujub, right? To think that you, mashallah, are great. And we can see this in kafir self-improvement YouTubers who think that they're so, mashallah, so great because they have so great muscle and so much richness. And look how great I am and look at my achievements. Mashallah, who gave it? You or Allah? We as Muslims know that through our aqeedah, we know Allah gave it. And even these YouTubers and other people will say, oh, I had a little bit of luck. Okay, there's no luck. Allah gave risk. So, you achieve and you grind and you're so great. It's thinking that you're much greater than you actually are, right? When Allah is the one who just granted to you. And the second evil negative loop is that it reinforces the fact that the object of life is material success. So idol worship comes in this self-improvement when all you do is worship the dinar, or you worship whatever idol or object you attach to the masculine purpose next, right? So according to David Dida in base mainstream self-improvement, your purpose or object of purpose can change. So really it's just about shirk to shirk to shirk. Whatever I see the object of serving next, I serve it and serve it and serve this object, right? So this evil thing about self-perception and this evil thing about the idol worship or making the life's purpose the object of serving gains of yourself, right? These are objects, they're idols. If you're using another word, that's what it is. It's an idol. $10,000 a month or 65 kgs or a $5 million house. These are idols. If that is all you want, if that is all you serve, you wake up, you discipline, you grind just because I want to serve this goal in general. Like by ijma of human beings, the acquisition of worldly gain is an inherently useless pursuit because it only brings minimal benefits. Like we know the understanding of the normalization bias where humans will desire things in this worldly life, and the moment they get it, they kind of just is normal. Again, like by ijma of humans, we know that by the kuffar that are celebrities that have all the power and all the money in the world, they're not satisfied. You're always going to be empty when you chase this. And you know this. When you are in kafir self-improvement or even Islamic self-improvement, when you chase these achievements and goals, you know that it's 5 seconds of enjoyment. That's it. We know that when you compete in this materialistic and capitalist and consumer society to be the best and the best and the best, the bigger fish, there's always a bigger fish, right? So there's this never-ending competition. And even though we all say that this is useless, acquisition of dunya is worldly because we're going to die and also it must make you empty, we still chase it, even by ijma of Muslims and non-Muslims. We still chase it, and we still make it the purpose of our existence, which is dangerous. And we'll explore just now how heedless we actually are about who our real ilah is. Na'udhu billah. But self-improvement is also garbage to Muslim because of their external factors. We talked about the internal reasons to serve the self, to serve an object, to serve an idol of worship. We wake up and grind to serve an object or an idol or a number. But even externally through the lahu and the haram and the false prophets, right? So in terms of haram and lahu, there are things in self-improvement that may be disliked or even praiseworthy that are haram in Islam and according to Sharia. For example, it's technically acceptable to watch haram. There's no concept of Allah. There's no greater judgment than Judgment Day to say like, oh, if I do this, then no. It's just because you have a parasocial relationship with some influencer who told you that you're a loser if you do it. Now, that's not very strong standing, is it? So you technically, it's not like you're fearing Allah when you're not doing it. It's okay. Like, it's not good. But but actually, you can make more excuses, right? But the second thing that's scary is the promotion and the praiseworthiness in self-improvement about zina or haram relationship. It's not only okay, it is praiseworthy to do even things like that are like okay in moderation, like alcohol, drugs, partying, gambling, riba. These are things that in Islam, no, there's a haram habit. And one thing that I want to talk about is a story of these two Muslims that I saw in a community of self-improvement. So I have a community, alhamdulillah, with 150 brothers by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. And when I started it, I didn't really know how to make a community, right? Because I only had a Discord. So I went to go look around at self-improvement YouTubers and influencers, how they run their schools and like communities, right? And so I came across this very big influencer. And something that really broke my heart is that I saw inside it some brother. His name is something like Suleiman or Yusuf. Like, by appearance, you can see he's a Muslim, right? And what broke my heart is that in the post that he made in the community, he told a guy, I think his name was like Abdullah or something like this, right? So some other Muslim name. He said, we need to get, for example, Abdullah a girlfriend. The one Muslim is enjoining evil to another Muslim to get a girlfriend. Why? To commit zina. But let's just say just a haram relationship. We have Muslims who are infected by this ideology such that they preach it to themselves to go against Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what self-improvement does to the mind. This praiseworthiness of having girls or whatever, and that's how cool you are, mashallah. This is the problem. It destroys the minds of the Muslims. Right? I'm not saying that's us. I'm saying this is mainstream, The last part of the issue of self-improvement externally is the false prophets. So young men, including me, grew up listening to these popular influencers, right? And who abused the fact that we had weak men in society, who abused the fact that the weak men had horrible father figures, and used deep psychological tricks to get you hooked and addicted and obsessed with them. You need to view them like a prophet. Na'udhu billah. And in the words of our brother Sonny Faz, he said about an influencer, like he used to take the words of these influencers as gospel. When they had a stream, you were on the stream. When they had the video, you were on the video. When you do everything they did, 100% right. And the scary thing for me that I'll testify and say is we used to not only just we hear and obey to these people, even though they're fallible human beings, we used to defend them. Like, I would be at school fighting for them. Outwardly speaking, doing dawah for these things, man. Na'udhu billah. That is the state. That is a scary thing. That we followed these false prophets more than we followed the sunnah. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says something, we're like, really? The beard? Yeah, but an influencer will say, do this. Yes, master. Billah. This is the problem. I'm not saying it's us, but we were in the fast. Think about it. We know as people in Islamic self-improvement that these are the specific acts that led us to not like it. Like the fact that there's so much haram and evil, and we needed tawheed, we needed sharia. On the upside, Islamic self-improvement does look righteous on the external, and it is. It destroys the concept of evil acts like haram and lahu, you know, like in terms of zina and haram relationship, all these things, and even not worshipping Allah alone, and even not doing salah, these things that, you know, the kafir self-improvement doesn't really do, Islamic self-improvement does. On the external, it's great, and it also destroys the concept of lahu, because lahu is such a big thing in Islam, you cannot waste time. And it also uses the systems that we learned on self-improvement to actually serve a good cause, which is being consistent and disciplined with our prayers, with our ibadah, with our knowledge seeking. You know, we use these things that we learned to serve a good purpose externally, which is great. This is a good part of it, and it's beneficial. Even chasing success in dunya is good for dunya and can be used for good in the deen of Allah. Like if you had lots of money, you'd give more zakat, or if you were stronger, you could use it in the path of Allah if you needed to, or if you had lots of more knowledge, you could technically give good nasiha, right? It may not have been used totally for fi sabilillah, right? It may not be just for the pleasure of Allah. You also want it for you, but you could use it in good, and you surely would not use it in bad. You know, kafirs, when they make lots of money, they will have their interest and riba. For Muslims, you wouldn't have that. For sure, everything they would gain in the dunya would be in the pleasure of Allah, right? Because you're a Muslim and you follow Islam. These are the good things. These patch the issues externally with self-improvement. We follow the true prophet and we worship the one God and we do what we need to do. However, internally, it's still vain and useless, because the issue that Islamic self-improvement has is that it did not cure the biggest problem with self-improvement. And that is why it's still a mess. The problem is that self-improvement is about shahawat. It's about nafs. It's about me. Our purpose of improvement is still about me. And the scary thing is that we may even use Allah, na'udhu billah, to serve that goal, that idol or objective. For example, I want to make $10,000 a month. And so what we feel is that because we do good and we're not like the others, we don't do haram, we do halal. Look at these other Muslims and kafirs. Look at us, ya Allah, you deserve to give me. Huh? Allah owes us. That's what we feel. Because we do good, because we want Him to serve our idol. I'm saying that this is the things in the back of our mind. Really be honest now. I'm talking about me as well. We want Allah to deserve to give us things so we can serve our idol, our object of success that we serve and we spend every single day disciplined so that we can get the idol, so we can please the idol and please the serving of this thing. Allahu Akbar. Be honest, that's what it is. That's the disease. And this is a dangerous worldview that shaitan purports in our minds. I mean, if we're honest, we live under this filthy world where our ultimate goal is that we chase our personal success, whether it be in wealth, looks, status, these things. This is what we chase. When we wake up, we think about these things. When we go to sleep, we think about these things. When in the day, we do these things. We think about just gaining this object and serving the goal, serving the object that we want. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Let the slave of the dinar and the dirham and qatifa and khamisa, you know, like money and luxurious clothes, perish." Look how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is talking. Perish, for he is pleased if these things are given to him, and if not, he's displeased. Allahu Akbar. Is this not how we act? When we are good and nice to Allah, He should give us things, but when He doesn't give us things, we get sad. How? How can we attach our self-worth and our life to this object? Then we worship it. If it's displeased with us, if we do not get it, then we're sad. If we get it, we're happy. Wow, we feel great. Allahu Akbar. How can we allow an object to worship to change how we feel? This is the honest truth. And what is scary here is that we may even unknowingly fall, may Allah protect us, into the category of the three questions, of failing the three questions. Because we think, oh, mashallah, look at us seeking knowledge, mashallah, look at it, you know, like these kuffar, you know. Man rabbuka? Dinar. Who's your prophet? Some influencer. Let's say, for example, in this example, profession fit. Na'udhu billah. What is your deen? Self-improvement. What? Ubudiyya and ibadah is not 5 times a day, mashallah. I pray to Allah. Yeah. Look at how we live. We're going to be, our hearts will attest to what we did. Did we worship Allah or did we worship ourselves? Did we worship the dinar or did we worship Allah? Be honest, bro. It's scary. It's scary. And if our actions are based on our intentions, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, then what was our intention? Was our intention to get the pleasure of Allah? Was our intention for Allah to give us blessings so we can get rich and strong and cool and nice and high value man? Be honest. So let's expand upon that. So even worship to Allah is done regularly out of fear of Allah, fear of the hellfire. You know, the good. We should have taqwa Allah. Ittaqullah, great. You know, you should fear Allah, great. But why is it just about fearing Allah? And it's also just the desire of wanting Allah to bless us. You know, if I don't do my salawat and I don't do the fard, Allah is going to send me His punishment and I'm not going to get my money that I want. I'm not going to get my body that I want. I'm not going to get that woman that I want. So why? You're doing it to serve the idol. You're not doing it because you want to be pleasing Allah. So rather what we're doing is weaponizing religion to serve us. Serve our idol. Instead of weaponizing ourselves to serve Allah. That is technically the way we live. Be afraid. This statements that I put fear in my heart. If your heart is not moved by this, I ask Allah to make it move you, because it's terrifying to say that we live like this. Rather, what we should do is weaponize ourselves to serve Allah Azza wa Jal, and that's the correct worldview. Right? And this is why I mean, internally, Islamic self-improvement is still rotten. Because it comes from kuffar. Like we adapted kafir stuff to Islam. We halalified kufr. Which great on the outside. Inside it's still kufr. Not to say we're all kafir. I'm not saying that. I'm not making takfir of everyone. May Allah protect us. I know that we all worship Allah Azza wa Jal, and we know that there's no other ilah but Him. But in our actions, we have a language of the speech. We can do shahada. But in our actions, what is our testimony? Who is our prophet and what is our deen? And so these internal disgusting things must be purged, so that we can actually make progress to what matters, which is the akhirah, and following Allah's advice for time. In Surah Al Isra, I'm going to recite Surah Al Isra, and we can explain if what we've been doing all day is actually serving this purpose or not. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Do we do these four things? Do we actually believe? We should fear being hypocrites at this point. We think do good acts to please Allah or ourselves. Do we call to the haqq or are we afraid? Do we stay steadfast or do we sin? Allah told you, indeed mankind is in clear loss if you don't do these four things. But yet, do we even do one of them? And Allah knows best if our Islam is true in our hearts. But we should be horrified. If the Sahaba were terrified of being munafiqun, how can we not be? How can we be so sure, mashallah? Making tazkiyah of ourselves like this. Allahu Akbar. As we argued in the last paragraph, we've been following the incorrect internal and external avenues for the desire of progression or development. I don't want you to misunderstand the video. The video is not, oh, someone's garbage, you just gotta make sujood until the day of judgment. That is not Islam, and that is not what I'm saying. The desire of progression or development is inherent to us. We can't destroy it the same way we can't destroy lust. But lust can be used to please Allah or displease Allah. If you go against Sharia, or if you can follow it. Same thing with the development. It can please Allah or displease Allah. The issue and the solution is simply following the correct avenue of this desire being fulfilled. And that is called Islamic self-development. And Islamic self-development is just a way to group basic concepts in Islam, which is tazkiyah an-nafs, Rujula al-wasatiyya, and basically just following the deen, which is, succeeding in the deen. And so, when you group these things together that come from Islam, that's it. No influence of ideology from the kuffar. Then the point of the development, self-development, the reason that it's called Islamic self-development is you develop the nafs, tazkiyah and nafs, purification of that, self-development to master this thing. Because there is no way I can sit in deep work for like multiple hours a day, yet we struggle to pray more than 2 rak'at tahajjud, even tahajjud at all. How? How do we miss our salah but we're in deep work? How do we miss our salah but we're training? Allahu Akbar. What is our priority? What are we doing to this? We are not mastering this. And as Allah Azza wa Jal says, and by the soul and the one who fashioned it, then with the knowledge of right and wrong inspired it. Successful is indeed the one who purifies their soul, and doomed is the one who corrupts it. Therefore we consider Allah links success with developing and purifying the nafs. And this is the crux of the correct external piece, with nuances, of course, that we'll speak about in the full guide that comes out next week, to implement these Islamic self-development in your life and cure the issues of Islamic self-improvement, right? That comes out next week, bi'idhnillah. But in general, the issue with the past two improvement vehicles and avenues is that our object of success was measured by how much we progressed to serve our idol or our objective object, right? And that being our goals, Rather, the correct external goal or yani lane should be the development of the nafs. Because that's what you're going to present to Allah on the Yawm al-Qiyam. What your nafs choose to do and how it is as a pure thing is what you're going to present. So how is that not the thing we have to develop? This is the internal piece that we're going to talk about now. We got the external line. We got the basic external things like, doing deen habits and dunya habits, with the lane of trying to, the ultimate vehicle is to improve the nafs, right? But why? What is the internal thing we have to develop? Which is so, Allahu Akbar, simple, bro. The internal reason why would we develop these nafs? To please Allah. And he said something so cool. He said, we believe in Allah, but we don't believe Allah. The purpose of existence, Allah says, we are following this statement. I did not create jinn and humans except to worship me. That's it. We must believe in what Allah just said. Not just believing in Allah. The only reason is to worship me. And I think the word worship is misconstrued in English, because in Arabic, the word abd or ubudiyya in general is more of a good thing. And in English, we have very bad ways of explaining, like, especially ubudiyya and being an abd of Allah is a wonderful thing, right? We translate it as a slave or something that is so lowly, even thinking something as a servant. Like when you think of servant of Allah or to serve Allah, when you love someone, you serve them. It's selfless. When you give gift, you are serving the person. When you help them out, you are serving them out of love, out of care. And so unlike Islamic self-improvement and self-improvement, this is the core of why. And that is to serve Allah instead of serving our idol. It's to forget. It's to make this concept of self-improving destroyed. And the objective of success is if Allah is pleased with you. That's it. And the pleasure of Allah, right? And so instead of weaponizing religion to serve us, we are now weaponizing ourselves to serve Allah, which is our purpose. Our purpose is the center of the journey. And if your purpose, if the truth is not the center, it is based on falsehood. It is based on shahawat. That's it. And so even by the definition of the word development, we see a change. The process of growing or changing and becoming more advanced. That's the definition of development. And the self-development is the definition, the process by which a person's character or abilities are gradually developed. What we can extract here is that as much as we see an element of growth, it is not about me. It is very, changing and being more advanced. It is more about an objective point of view. It's not about the person. It's not about one's progression or one's efforts. It is about just growing. Through the difference of one word, changing improvement to development, we have changed our entire worldview of why we improve. We changed our niyyah. It is not about serving us and our idol. It is about only if Allah is pleased and serving Allah Azza wa Jal. That is the internal reason why we do anything. Why we discipline. Why we make money. Why we do this. Why we do that. Only to please Allah. The more we please Allah, the more successful we are. It is not about how much money you make. You could make $2 or $10. The one who spent more of $2 in the cause of Allah is more successful than the one with 10. Do you get my point? And so we make the reason we grow and develop to please Allah. And we get rid of these false prophets, and we get rid of these external haram, and we get rid of all the filthy stuff that we spoke about already in this video essay. And we replace it with the true purpose of existence, as it's called. And therefore curing Islamic self-improvement of its internal filth. The internal issue that comes from the kufr. That's it. And now it's the truth. It's based in Tazkiyah nafs and the Rujula of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the coolest thing is that now we can look at Islamic self-improvement content with this worldview of Islamic self-development, and now we can actually extract the most benefit from it. Because again, externally, me saying, or anyone saying, hey, be disciplined and stop, doing social media stuff, that's a good thing if our purpose is to serve Allah. If our purpose is not so that we can stop wasting time so we can make money. Our niyyah now will be accepted as salihat. If we are only making our every improvement to please Allah, and our object of success to please Allah, all that content with this new worldview is Islamic self-development. Islamic self-improvement is externally okay. It's just internally the niyyah must be purified, which we've done here, alhamdulillah. And now we can focus on the true priority, the highest ROI on our action, which is good deeds and good actions, so that we can get the return in the deen, the dunya, and the akhirah. Bi-idhnillah. May Allah accept it from us. And so self-improvement begins with the purpose of me. Islamic self-development begins with the purpose of pleasing Allah. That is it. Wake up, please Allah. And that's the difference between wasting your life and preparing for death. And we gotta wake up. And if you do not wake up every single day, and the first answer to your question, why am I standing up? Why am I improving? Why am I developing? What is my goal? Pleasing Allah. Today, if I was to please Allah, I succeeded. And not only does that make us less depressed, it makes us follow the purpose of life, and it makes us successful in the akhirah. We get to follow this desire to develop and improve, to be a better man, as according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his Rujula al-wasatiyya, the moderation of masculinity, the moderate masculinity, and to purify our soul, and to just please Allah. Anytime you feel these desires or shahawat, no, I don't want to do ibadah, that's when you do ibadah. That is success. The more you fight to purify those nafs and please Allah, the more succeeded you are. So, in conclusion, the worldly life's an illusion, akhi. Don't, and as we'll talk about in the full guide next week, don't let it deceive you and let it make it your life. That's the problem that we've been doing. We've been following a false idol of this worldly life. We're gonna die, and the servitude that you did for your goal or your idol or your object, and the following of your false prophet, I'm not saying you exactly, but in general, self-improvement and Islamic self-improvement, it's not gonna make you content. You know that when you achieve this dunya, it means nothing. I've felt it before. I don't know why I was chasing this falsehood. Not to say that we cannot be following the same goals, but why? The way that we find success is not how much money you have. It's how much money you gave in the cause of Allah. It's how much time you spent in the cause of Allah. It's how much time you used your tongue, your pen, and everything you had to please Allah Azza wa Jal. The only avenue to funnel this desire to improve as a man, develop as a man, is through Islamic self-development, which is the process of purifying our soul, becoming more of a true man, as according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Salaf, and ultimately doing that. I want you to make cover on self-improvement as a concept. The concept of improving myself so I can get lots of money, so I can have a nice house in Dubai, and so I can have a Ferrari. Make cover of this, okay? Make cover, because it's dumb. You're gonna die. It's not gonna matter. What's gonna matter? Deeds. That's it. So if we just put all our focus in that, we'd be successful. So just understand that we must be so much better and grow ourselves, and mashallah, we can do that while only serving Allah. Sure, that can be a nice thing, which we'll talk about in the next guide, but that's it. Okay, Jazakallah khair for watching. And if you want some more help from me, some more products from me, some more benefit from me, please go benefit from these products. I really work hard on them, and you can go check it out in the link in the description. Subscribe, inshallah, so that this channel can grow and the message can get out there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.